This week, we've got the Seven Samurai, giant monsters, and transgender clone troopers. It's the Clone Wars Season 2, Episodes 17 through 19 this week on your Star Wars Safe Space. Stick around. Alrighty then. Howdy, Star Warriors. Welcome to Star Wars Safe Space, your non-toxic, low-sodium Star Wars show that doesn't make you feel bad for not knowing that famed Japanese film director Akira Kurosawa was a major influence on George Lucas and the entire Star Wars franchise. So whether you're a hardcore fan or just a little swarzy curious, like Tony's shirt says right there, look at that. This is your Star Wars Safe Space. And who are we? We are the Circle of Nerds. And yes, we do indeed love Star Wars, even if we don't always like it. So, yeah, let's go around and meet the crew, shall we? So, the sensational Sherry is out this week. Unfortunately, she's resting and recovering. So, we do hope that she is quickly on the mend. So we'll probably see her next week. Hopefully, she did watch the episodes, just so she's all caught up there. So, but yeah, and from the Outer Rim territory of Bostoween, it's Daddy Louie.
Hello, children.
Why do you get so close to the mic when you say that? Hello, children.
I don't know. Why is the mic so far away from my mouth?
I don't know. Put it closer to your mouth.
She said.
Put it closer to your mouth, Daddy. Ooh, that I don't know. And hailing from parts unknown, it's T to the Oni.
Welcome back to the galaxy, everybody.
And I am Tommy D, your more than slightly obnoxious Star Wars know-it-all. So what are we doing here? Well, pretty simple. Our mission is to watch all of the Star Wars canon films and TV shows in kind of chronological order, breaking them down, connecting the dots, and learning more about Star Wars and maybe even a little about ourselves along the way. Look at rocking the jet. See, everyone's rocking the... Oh, I'm on the side. Everyone's rocking the front here.
Mine was like all the way down here. I was like, I do have mine on. It's just...
That's okay. That's all right. Your font is small. See how thick mine is?
Yeah. Well, you used to have another one, and yours was the same as this. But
it was.
That's, I think, yeah. I think if I ordered a new one, mine would come like that.
And you know what? Speaking of ordering, if anybody would like to order some Circle of Nerds or Star Wars Safe Space merch, head on over to the website, circleofnerds.com/merch, and get you some of this drip.
And get some stickers too.
Yep, get some stickers. We've got Circle of Nerds stickers, and we've got I think we've got Swarzy Curious and Star Wars Safe Space stickers, if I'm not mistaken. I may be mistaken, but I don't know. All right, so that's what we're about. Well, word of warning, we will be containing some spoilers, so please be aware of that. This week, we're continuing on with Season 2 of the Clone Wars animated series with episodes 17 through 19. And pretty good episodes. And we've got a lot to talk about there. But first, and I've got some news music I'll put in there. This week in the news, in Star Wars news. So Star Wars, and I'm very excited about this, Star Wars, The Secrets of the Clone Troopers, a reference book which released on October 8th. So it just came out. I am very excited about this. So definitely a must read for any Clone Wars or Clone Trooper fans out there. However, of course, the Fandom Menace, doing what the Fandom Menace does, they have struck again because they just can't be happy. The Star Wars haters, there's just no fucking joy in their lives at all. So in the Star Wars, The Secrets of the Clone Troopers reference book, we learn about a transgender clone trooper named Sister. So, and this character went largely unnoticed until this book came out. But she actually dates back to 2022 when she first appeared in two young reader novels, The Queen's Hope and Brotherhood. And she actually ends up having a conversation with Rex and Anakin. and of course, both are supportive of her gender identity, because it still goes along with the ideals of the clone troopers and the Jedi. And it was the clone troopers who gave Sister her name, which is really cool. So, and of course, being the ignorant ass clowns that they are, the vast majority of the Star Wars haters had absolutely no idea of her existence until Secrets of the Clone Troopers came out. And Rex actually says in the book about Sister, he says, when one of our kind expressed her gender identity differently than her fellow troopers, she feared she'd have to hide who she truly was inside. Fortunately, her brothers in the 7th Sky Corps gave her the name Sister as a constant reminder that she belonged. So so here's my take on the Fandom Menace, right? And these people that say, "Oh,
you guys suck.
Disney's woke. It's the Disney woke agenda." So the fact that this transgendered clone trooper was afraid to talk about her identity, or to come out, who she truly was, there's a reason for that fear, and you motherfuckers are it. Like you little dick bitches are exactly the reason why we need this quote unquote woke content. There's a reason that we need transgendered representation in Star Wars. Like, I feel bad for you bitches when you start reading High Republic books. Holy shit, y'all's heads are gonna fucking turn inside out. You thought the Acolyte was full of woke gay nonsense. Wait till you bitches start reading the High Republic. There's all sorts of like same-sex relationships and gender fluid and non-binary folks. And it's just because in a galaxy this large, why wouldn't there be? Why would there not be beings? Hutts are asexual. They're hermaphrodites. All Hutts are hermaphrodites. We've known this, but that predates Disney. So was George Lucas woke for including a hermaphroditic species? Or is it only because it's like, humans of color, that's when it starts becoming weird. So my question to the group here, so by the inclusion of Sister, is this just more of Disney's woke agenda in an effort to turn us all gay and take LGBTQ money? Or is it an effort to actually be inclusive? What are your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, my stance on it.
I mean, when it comes to this type of thing, you all know me. I'm going to be short and not so sweet about it. Like, if you don't like it, fucking deal with it or leave. I mean, really.
Yeah.
The idea that something is going to turn you gay or make you transgender if you aren't already is utter nonsense. If you have that little comfort in who you are as a person that you think that could actually happen to you, that says way more about you than it does about the content.
Yeah. Well said. Louis, what do you think?
Why does it matter? Like, why? Like, yeah. I mean, and it's a society thing too, and not to, get into it outside of Star Wars, but it's just, who cares?
Who cares? If it doesn't affect you, who fucking cares?
No. And I like that they are being inclusive like that. Mm-hmm. And it's, first of all, it's in a book. Like, it's not like they're showing it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like this character was, in The Mandalorian trying to turn, Din into, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like,
and it's a new character. It's like,
right.
I get when people are upset about gender or race swapping an established character. To me, that it doesn't seem authentic. It seems like kind of a money grab. Like, if you've got an established character, let them be an established character and make someone new. Make someone that is representative, that's new, because otherwise when you color wash other characters, like, again, I just don't feel that it serves anyone, because now you're just recycling, a character and throwing, a recently disenfranchised group a bone by saying, oh, no, look how cool we are. We turned this character into this color and this gender just for you. Well, maybe don't be lazy writers and come up with an actual new character. And I like that they did that with Sister. They came up with a new character. Granted, she's a clone, but all clones have their own personalities, as we know. So I like Tony, like you said, it doesn't matter. Louis, you said the same thing. Why does it matter? Because in my opinion, somewhere out there in the Star Wars fandom, there is a transgendered individual who loves the Clone Wars and maybe would desperately love to cosplay as a clone trooper. And now they have the opportunity to do that if they want to. Now they've got a clone trooper who they can identify with. That's someone that looks like them. Well, they all look the same, but you know what I mean.
Right.
So, and if you look up the photo, the transgender colors are painted on her armor. I think she's got like long cornrows in her hair. It's a very cool design, and I really, really do hope that we're gonna see some folks out there because she's canon now. That Secrets of the Clone Troopers book, that's canon, and I believe so are the two books. What was it again? It was the Queen's Hope and Brotherhood. I believe those are also both canon books. But regardless, even if they're not, Secrets of the Clone Troopers is canon. So, like it or not, ass clowns, fucking, we got Sister, and she's fucking canon. So deal with it.
Badass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Rex gives her the seal of approval. That's all I need. So I'm good to go. Now, another question I do have about this. Do you think that Disney may have gone too far by including a transgendered character in a young reader book? Is this the type of content for young readers, or should it be in more of an adult book? What are your thoughts?
Unless there's some, a quote unquote scene within this book that would be considered adult content, what difference does it make?
Well, some people will argue that.
I understand what some people will argue. I don't care what they're going to argue.
Maybe they're
Grow
too
the fuck up.
So young readers might be too young to really know how they identify. That's what some people feel.
Well, this is one of, like I made a point earlier about, listen, if you feel like you can be turned by content, like I could understand that argument to a point, but that's when, I'm sorry, as a parent, monitor what your children are reading and paying attention to, and be able to have an adult conversation with them to say, hey, listen, yes, there are people that feel this way,
right,
that identify as that, and that's fine. Like we're all saying, there's nothing wrong with feeling that way and identifying that way. It doesn't hurt anybody else for you to feel that way. Now, like, I could, okay, sure, if you got like a, I don't know, somewhere between like a 5 to 12-year-old, that okay, that like, the gender identity construct thing isn't really a real factor for them at this point.
Right.
Okay, let them think what they're going to think. Again, exposing people to a broader range of the human experience should never be a bad thing.
Right.
And also, like, I understand as a parent, right, that you do not want your children exposed to certain things. And every parent on the planet has a different idea of what is appropriate and inappropriate for their child, right? Sure. So some parents let their kids watch rated R movies when they're 5, and other parents aren't going to let their kids watch rated R movies until they're 17. The same goes with, things like this.
Sure.
You're going to have some parents who, no matter what we say, they just don't want to expose their kids to that at that age, which if that's your mindset, fine. But overall, the Star Wars fandom, I don't think is impacted by those decisions unless they are the parents themselves. Right. So like, Joe Schmo in his underwear in his mom's basement hating on, the acolyte. I think that if he's not the parent of the kid, then it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that it being exposed to a photo with a snippet in a picture book is any different than. I don't.
Yeah, it's no different. Like
it's no different.
If you're in the mall and I'm with my young child, and we happen to see maybe a drag queen. There's a drag show going on, and my child is like, Dad, what's going on? Why is that dude, dressed like a lady? Aerosmith. Right. Thank you. Okay. So why does dude look like a lady? Now it's my responsibility to try to explain things to my child in as an unbiased way as possible, and to leave things open for questions and encourage my child to question. Now, whatever my thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are about that dude who looks like a lady and their lifestyle and their choices, that has absolutely no bearing, should have no bearing in how I answer my child's questions. So,
and that is just not how our society is, unfortunately.
No,
because you're 100% right.
Parents indoctrinate their children into their own beliefs. You've got the dude that peaked in high school who wants their kid to be a fucking pro athlete because they couldn't do it themselves, rather than allowing their children to experience things their own way and in their own time. So to the Fandom Menace, to the people that just can find no joy in Star Wars anymore because they say that it's too woke, we give you the finger of truth, my friends. Fuck you. Just shut the fuck up. Fuck you, and fuck you. Like, I just and Star Wars theory. He can. No, I don't even want to say that guy's name. So people who have negative Star Wars theories, let's just say that. Because I don't want to mention there's a laundry list of these motherfuckers.
I know
who we could list.
The first one that comes to mind.
Sure, and it's just again, I lump them all into the Fandom Menace, and it's very obvious that what they're doing now. The internet term for these people, they're calling them grifters, because it's basically they'll take anything and turn it around and make it a hate video because that's what sells tickets. That's figuratively speaking, but that's what's getting you the likes and the engagement, because now someone that has a negative Star Wars theory, they're going to post it, they're going to make a video about it, and they're going to give all this hate, and their supporters are going to go in there, yeah, fuck that guy and fuck this guy and this person's this and this person's that. No, Kathleen Kennedy and Star Wars raped my dog and destroyed my childhood and all this shit, right? But then you've got people like us who we don't always like everything that's put out by Disney, obviously, but we can still find some joy in it. We're going to go in there. We're going to defend or at least maybe not defend Disney all the time, because sometimes you can't, because defending Disney is pointless. It is, in fact, the evil empire with mouse ears. We're under so Fandom Menace, in that we agree, Disney is the evil empire. However, within the evil empire, there are some great writers and directors and people that actually really do love the franchise, and they're trying to get us this new content. But anyway, all of this is happening, and so anyway, we go in there and we're going to say, well, you know what? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So now we're giving them more engagement. we're adding to their comment, we're adding to their feed, and so their numbers just hike up and go up and go up and go up, and that's why they do this. Completely off track, but kind of on point. I watched this video a while ago. It's this 15-year-old content creator, and he is a multimillionaire. Everything, like all of his channels have multi-millions of followers, and he just creates brand new channels. He has claimed that he could create a brand new YouTube or social media channel and in less than 90 days have 1 million followers on it. And he gives a list of methods and techniques that he uses to do that. But one of the main ones is that he said, and he didn't list any of his channels, which was smart. So he went on, he showed his face and his name, but he didn't list any of his actual channels. So that way he cannot be, connected to anything that he's putting out, because one of the techniques that he uses is by putting out false claims that come off as legitimate. So he'll put out a video that says, yeah, I went for a walk today and I couldn't believe how the sky turned, green. Look at the sky. The sky is completely green today. And it's because too many people were watering their lawns today. That's a scientific proven fact. And then, of course, what's going to happen? People are going to jump in the comments and they're going to refute that. They're going to say, no, dude, you're fucking stupid. That's not why the sky wasn't green today. What are you talking about? So he will create false content on purpose just to get people arguing in the comments. And that's what the Fandom Menace is doing too. Whether they actually hate this content or not is completely irrelevant. You've got and all you have to do is search through YouTube. Just type in Star Wars on YouTube, and you will see so many people jumping on this hate train bandwagon because it's what sells right now. Reality TV show. We love it. We love reality TV shows because they're just full of drama and animosity. Human beings love that shit.
And all that's fake too.
All that's fake too. But then you've got other people out there who are putting out positive content, and they don't get nearly the views or the hits that all the haters do. And that's a critique on society, Louis, like you were saying too. So, but anyway,
yeah,
enough of that nonsense. On to the show, shall we?
Let's do it.
Fuck them guys. All right, I got to take off and of course I'm wearing the mighty Mythosaur skull neath my hoodie. Okay, anyway. Neath my hoodie. So, season 2, episode 17, Bounty Hunters, which of course, Dave, thank you for leapfrogging across the timeline. This actually takes place before the episode Children of the Force, which was in season 2. So, yeah. So
he just likes playing jump rope with that timeline, doesn't he?
He really does. He just fucks around. So at the beginning of the episode, we did see it said in memory of Akira Kurosawa, and as I had mentioned earlier, this episode is dedicated to the memory of filmmaker Akira Kurosawa. And he was indeed one of George Lucas's major influences. So if you're not familiar with the films of Akira Kurosawa, they're old Japanese movies, usually almost always related to samurai in some way. So The Hidden Fortress is basically a direct influence for episode 4, A New Hope. So get a chance to watch that. Then there's another one, my very favorite Akira Kurosawa film, my first Akira Kurosawa film that I ever watched was The Seven Samurai. And that's exactly what this episode, Bounty Hunters, was based on, The Seven Samurai. So, and we also get to see a little nod to that in the Mandalorian TV series where
episode where
Din and Cara Dune defend that little village against the bandits. So very similar premise. So anyway, good episode, fun episode. We're not going to rehash the entire thing. So what I'm curious about, what I'd like to ask, before I do that, Louis, you had mentioned before the show that you've got thoughts on this episode.
Yeah. So I think that, when you kind of step outside the box and you look at it from, kind of like the political side of it almost, or like the real, it felt to me like we were seeing that even though this ginormous war is going on around the galaxy, there are people, the little people, that are just trying to live their day-to-day life, and they're being exploited by people like Hondo and his pirate buddies, who are taking advantage of the fact that these small villages, these people who can't help themselves, have been abandoned by their warriors and by their, you know what I mean? Because they've all gone off to war. And not necessarily every planet is like that. And I'm not saying that this village was abandoned by, any men to go off and fight the war, because it probably wasn't. But what we're seeing is how the little people is being affected by what's going on in the broader galaxy. We're seeing how, there's no one to protect these people. They're, because of this ongoing war. And the other thing that had kind of triggered in my head while watching this episode is something that we've talked about on past episodes, where kind of the ignorance of the Jedi, right?
Yeah.
And I can't remember if it was Obi-Wan or Anakin now was having a conversation with the Zabraki bounty hunter. And she said something along the lines of, you don't think we can handle ourselves, do you? And that goes back to, like, that line stuck with me because it goes back to their ignorance, right? Like, in that episode, they stepped in and they were like, well, you need it. Like we're going to take charge of how this whole thing's gonna go down. And meanwhile, this bounty hunter is basically sitting back and saying, like, we had this under control. And like, you don't feel like we can handle ourselves. Like, they're so full of themselves that they feel like they need to, kind of take control of situations when maybe they don't need to. Right. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And she also said, because when you brought that up, Anakin had said to her, we're peacekeepers. And she fired back, and she said, yeah, you're peacekeepers who can't keep the peace.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that was my question for the group today is, we perceive the Jedi in a certain way as viewers of the story. We're fed a particular narrative about the Jedi, and it's nice seeing the Clone Wars show different sides of that. So how do you think that, because it was interesting how everyone knows who the Jedi are. I mean, it doesn't matter what backwater world you go to. For the most part, everyone knows who and what a Jedi is. But, I mean, what are your thoughts on how the Jedi perceive themselves versus how the standard civilian population views the Jedi?
Right.
Tony, what do you think?
That's a really great question. I think that for the most part, I think the Jedi, reasonably speaking, they do have an inflated opinion of themselves, and part of that's for good reason. But I think that when it comes to the average Joe Schmo out in that galaxy, for the most part, like, it's not that Jedi are so rare as to be a myth as we see in much further down the timeline than we are now, but it's a thing of, well, they pop in here and there, they're going to do their own thing, and then they're going to go. You can't rely on them. So what's the difference?
Right. So it's interesting to see how other people are reacting and interacting with the Jedi. They're not, like, to these folks, even the farmers, nobody was like super impressed.
Right.
that there were 3 Jedi that showed up. It's just like, we're just trying to harvest our shit, and these motherfuckers are attacking us. And then we had to hire these shady motherfuckers, just to protect ourselves because the peacekeepers can't do it. And so that leads me to my next question. Of course, every week now we're trying to really think about each episode and how Palpatine may have been responsible, or how this serves Palpatine's ultimate goal. And for me anyway, the obvious reason for this is there's no help for, and this was Fallujah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's no law to help the people who are living on Fallujah. So it just opens the door for Palpatine to put a quote unquote peacekeeping force on Fallujah, bring the war there, and eventually, it's going to go his way potentially. Do you think that his tentacles have reached that far to Fallujah? And is it that microscopic of an influence, or is it just kind of all just, the Republic is just spread too thin just because they're spread too thin? Or do we think that Palpatine knows exactly what's going on Fallujah?
Remind me because I watched it yesterday. Remind me why they were there. Because I know they got stranded there, so they were some kind of
they were going to check. They were going to check on a medical station that was supposed to be outside of their space.
That's right. That's right.
And
which was part of what I was saying. Like we were seeing a different side of the war. By knowing that there's medical facilities out there, which it didn't end up being that way. And
it got destroyed. I mean, they destroyed a whole fucking medical center, which also makes me wonder, why is it not guarded? Why do you not at least have a couple of cruisers guarding the medical facilities? But again, spread too thin, maybe.
Yeah.
And they think that maybe Fallujah's far enough out that no one's going to fuck with it. But unfortunately, we see that it's not the case.
Well, I mean, it just goes to show that, in this galaxy, like here we've got, as oxymoronic as it sounds, there is such a thing as war crimes where, okay, listen, there are basic understandings of, hey, like if you see the Red Cross, you don't fuck with the Red Cross. You let them, like, doesn't matter who they're helping, you just let them through. Clearly the Separatist Army does not believe in such a thing.
Oh no, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. And it's cool because we do see on Clone Medics, they do have a version of the Red Cross. And I always thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if we've seen it yet. I mean, maybe we have. I don't remember. Yeah, we
remember seeing Medics.
Yeah, I think we have seen it. I think we have seen it, but I don't know, maybe not. All right, so pretty good episode. Got to see Embo. Embo's just bad as fuck. The guy.
He's a badass.
Yeah, he's a bad motherfucker. And we saw him straight up snap the neck of a pirate. Like, just brutally snapped his neck. Two actually. He snapped the one guy's neck, the scout, and then he jumped on
the speeder.
Snapped his neck and threw him into a fucking laser fence.
Do we need to put them in the Wall of Remembrance?
No, they're pirates.
No, Wall of Remembrance is for good guys.
Yeah, just for our clone troopers, our clone brothers. That's it.
Although we are adding a few to this this batch.
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, this is a kids show, right? And we're seeing motherfuckers snap necks but anyway. All right, so moving on, we've got the Zillo Beast arc, 2-episode arc, which was pretty fun. So we've got Zillo Beast and Zillo Beast Strikes Back. The Zillo Beast itself was giving some hardcore Godzilla, King Kong vibes. Obviously, those things were influences. And even the name Zillo Beast is similar to Godzilla. So instead of I love the fact that, the writers, Dave Filoni included, they're all just super nerdy.
Yeah.
And so I've got a couple questions about this arc as well, but thoughts before we dive into it, because we'll just handle this as like one thing, Louis, as you suggested. So
yeah.
Go for it.
I thought it was really, especially in the second episode, seeing Anakin and Padme kind of disagree.
Yeah.
There. But Anakin also doesn't know if he wants to agree with Palpatine either. You see the push and the pull that Palpatine has going on there.
And again, everyone's always putting Anakin in the middle of some shit.
Right. And they even went up in there and they were like, hey, Anakin. And he's like, you want me to go do this, don't you? And they're like, yep. So it's like the Jedi in the Senate are pushing him and he's being pulled. The guy doesn't have a chance. Like no matter what, he loses. You know what I mean? Like, so he doesn't want to be pulled towards Palpatine. I really don't think that he does, but he's almost being pushed into Palpatine
by the Jedi. Actually, I mean,
right. Yeah. And I think eventually, especially when the Darth Plagueis speech, that's almost like the nail in the coffin where the push finally becomes, he's not being pushed anymore. And now he's walking towards that direction. Because now he's like, well, I can't turn to the Jedi. The Jedi keep pushing me away.
Right.
So I have all this going on and you keep pushing me away, literally towards the guy who, so I thought those were all things that were popping up in my mind, especially in that second episode where you could see this conflict that Anakin was having, not just within himself, but with the people that he was closest to.
Yes.
He just doesn't, he doesn't have a chance. No matter what he does, he's screwed. The only thing that could have saved him was if he'd have run away. If he'd have just taken Padme and run away. He didn't do that.
It would be a whole different galaxy. That's for sure. But
this Zillo Beast episode really, like, yes, you're right. The Godzilla thing, the monster movie part of it was super cool. I felt bad for him in the second episode. Yeah. Like I was like, "Ugh, you're killing me, guys. You're killing me." Yeah. And then the way that it ended, at the very end with, I'm sure you'll talk about that in your questions. I don't want to steal your question thunder.
No.
But we do see Palpatine. This is one of those things where I don't think that Palpatine knew that the Zillo Beast was there. You know what I mean? I think this is one of those curveballs that happen, but you see, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, how quickly he was able to turn that narrative in his favor. So now now you're going to go clone those motherfuckers. Mm-hmm. So,
but I do wonder though. I mean, because sometimes Palpatine does feel like he's just all fucking knowing. And, they gave, he had this giant bomb created to use on Malastare that apparently has a very thin crust. And did Palpatine know the legend of the Zillo Beast? Did he know that there could potentially still be one alive, or maybe, remnants of old Zillo Beasts? I don't know. It didn't seem like it. Like when they first said, "Oh, hey, this thing is lightsaber resistant." Right. I don't know if he knew or not. But like you said, as soon as he found out, that motherfucker's wheels started turning and he can fucking adapt just like that. And he was like, yeah go ahead, bring that motherfucker home. Let's kill it and carve it up.
I'm sure it was intentional, but this is the first time that they are making it blatantly obvious that Palpatine's interests are not coinciding with the interests of the Jedi.
Yeah.
There's one point in the second part where he's saying something about the sheer power of this beast, and the look on his face is that you like that power way too much. And you see Mace kind of look back at him, and you're like, really? That didn't clue you in? What
maybe Mace, because Mace did. He's we get a shot of Mace looking at Palpatine like, motherfucker, what did you just say? It's did Palpatine was kind of excited, so maybe he let his guard drop just a little bit, and maybe Mace got a little tinge. in the Force, like this motherfucker might be dark side, or I mean, because Palpatine was pretty happy. Oh, one thing I did notice though too was this was the first time Palpatine showed real fear when the Zillo Beast was coming after him. Like that,
I saw it too.
Yeah, he was when they were in that shuttle, and that motherfucker tracked him down. Which he's lightsaber resistant. He has some sort of ability to sense people, or maybe sense the Force. Maybe he was able to sense Palpatine's Force ability, because he definitely understood that motherfucker when he was like, yeah, let's just kill it. Let's just kill it and eat it. And because he looked at Palpatine like, you let me out. Let me out. Let's see what's happening. And if you didn't notice, the doctor, she had some cakes, man.
I didn't notice the doctor.
Well, if you watch it again, they hooked her up. They, everyone's looking at Ayla Secura in this episode, because of course Ayla Secura, she's a hottie too. But the doctor, she was wearing some little yoga pants. She was the animators did a nice job, and she had some little disc things on her head, looked like some little upper flurman. I don't know what was going on up there, but that was kind of doing it for me too. I don't know. I'm interspecies. I'm open to all that. That's cool. That's cool. So but my question for you guys about this is, now you've got the Zillo Beast, and it is a terrifying monster that would have potentially really wreaked havoc on Malastare, and the Dugs. So in this particular case, we do see that, Mace is like, yeah, no, we cannot kill this thing. But then, the Dugs and even Anakin kind of were like, oh man, we got to do something. So in this particular case, what do we think is the best course of action here? Like completely sauce the Zillo Beast, or like just vacate and let this thing?
I mean, what context? Like what? So your question, is it geared towards what do you think? Or
I want to know because we saw what happened. I mean, they did have, Anakin had the idea to, basically tase the Zillo Beast. That way they could, make sure that it was, not killed. But then when it gets turned loose on Coruscant, at that point, like, what do you do? Like, do we try to subdue it again, or does it need to be put down?
I mean, at that point, I think you have to kill it.
Yeah.
I mean, once it's already unleashed and it's already loose, I mean, it's like that whole scene just reminded me of Jurassic Park. Was it the second one or the third one when they brought the T-Rex to, like, I don't know where it was, like San Francisco or some shit.
Yeah.
And he just King Kong. Ripped it. I mean,
King Kong, the same.
Yeah.
Bring it to New York City, and
you gotta,
you do that?
Once it gets to that level, you gotta. I mean, they should have never taken it to Coruscant, obviously.
True. Very true.
They should have never done any of the things that they did to that poor thing.
No.
But
correct.
Once it got to that point, you got to put it down.
Because when it went through the city, it killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, you had people just out on date night walking on the bridges and, oh, hey, honey, look. Dad.
Mentioned more than one time in those episodes, more than a couple of times. This is the most dangerous creature in the galaxy. This is the most powerful creature in the galaxy. Like every time, and it was one of a kind, right? So you don't want to kill it because, then you're extincting a race. But at the same time.
So it'll be interesting to see more developments with the Zillo Beast.
Yeah, I honestly feel like, to a point, Palpatine fucked this up. Like, the smarter play, and we know he's got bases set up on other places. Like I mean, he had that whole baby prison thing out on Mustafar that we had to destroy. Like he's got places where he could have brought this beast to
dark side daycare
and done whatever he wanted to do, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Taking it to Coruscant of all fucking places, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Was that a fuck up on his part, or was that calculated? Do you think that he did that on purpose to, because if you think about it, he could have done that on purpose, because there's no way that he's going to be able to go against the Jedi and not look bad, because he wanted to kill the Zilla beast while it was still on Malastare.
Right.
Just fucking kill it, cook it, bring me its parts. We'll study it here at home. But then obviously if he does that, that's going to raise some questions with Mace. Mace is going to take it to the council, and then they're going to start looking at him a little bit harder. So, but if he brings it to Coruscant and it gets loose, now in order to save innocent lives, which is what the Jedi are all about, Louis, like you said, now there's no choice. We've got to get it down.
Yeah.
So was that potentially part of Palpatine's plan, was so he could kind of legally kill it without getting in trouble with the Jedi?
See, but here's the thing. I don't think he ever wanted to kill it. Because, like, if your whole goal is to clone the thing, that's a whole lot easier with living cells than it is with a dead creature.
Sure, but they pulled samples from it, so they had living cells.
Yeah, but you'd have access to a lot more if you keep the thing alive.
Sure, no doubt.
And the other factor is that, like, you've now let everybody that the Jedi just saved in that city realize that the Jedi are far more capable of handling this than the clone's army is. So later on, when he, spoiler alert in effect here, when they issue Order 66, that's clearly, okay, now you've got to choose. Are you for the Jedi or are you for the Empire? Well, all those people are going to remember the Jedi had way more effect in saving my life than the Empire did.
But did they, though? It was the clones who took down the Zilla Beast. Nobody knew about the Jedi running across its back. Like, if you're sitting there watching out your apartment window, you're seeing those laddies flying around. You're seeing those clone troopers launching toxic bombs and murking this thing. And of course, Palpatine's going to go out and say, look how I was able to save your city from this nightmarish hell beast. And then of course his little sycophant buddies are going to be like, oh, Palpatine, thank you so much for saving the city. So it's hard, because sometimes I want to feel that, I mean, Palpatine is fallible, of course. Obviously, we do know that he makes some very critical errors, and his ego gets the better of him, but he is so calculating. I just feel like he's writing the Clone Wars. Like, it's not even Dave Filoni. I feel like Palpatine is an actual real person, and he's sitting around somewhere and he's telling Dave Filoni what to write, because he's got his fingers so deep in our pots that he's pulling all the strings.
Maybe
I know
Dave Filoni is Chancellor Palpatine.
I mean, we never see the two of them together in the same room at the same time.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. In fact, the only time we ever see Dave Filoni show up on screen is years after Palpatine has died.
Somehow he returned.
I mean, we see him in The Mandalorian, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think twice we see him in The Mandalorian. So, we're
on to you, Dave.
We're on to you, Dave. We need to get you on the show so you can come talk to us, and let's figure this out, buddy.
Yeah. All right. If we really are onto him, do we want him to know about us?
Right? Do we want him to know that we know?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, Dave, we want you on the show, brother. We want
you on the show, buddy.
Fair.
All right. So, that's good shit. Does anybody have anything else? Because I think we covered everything today.
I will say, like, the point's been made already, but it becomes very clear, especially in the second half of this, that this Zilla Beast very much has some intelligence.
Oh yeah.
And so it really does make you wonder, like, if we could have kept this thing alive,
maybe figure out a way to communicate with it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Jedi who are that way. I think Ahsoka could have communicated with it. we've already seen that she's got an affinity for animals. So it's possible.
Ezra too.
Ezra as well.
Obviously Ezra's not here, but
I don't know if Ezra's even born at this point.
No, he's not.
But Ahsoka, I mean, and what the fuck happened to her once everybody gets to Coruscant?
Yeah, where did she go?
She's hanging out. She went to take a nap. I mean, it's nap time for younglings at this point for Padawan. It's just, you come back from a mission, after you kill a few pirates, you come back and get a little juice box and take a little nappy, and then and Obi-Wan, can we just we'll jump back to the Bounty Hunters episode. The ladies love Obi-Wan. I mean, as a Bounty Hunter, she was all about some Obi. I mean, he's all
the ladies operator. Like the Obi.
Man. LLOJ. No, it can't be OJ. LL cool Obi. Cool Obi. LL Cloby. Cool.
No, we need to get her an Obi fans shirt is all that needs to happen. So
we do need to get her an Obi fans shirt. We all need to get an Obi fans shirt. And if you'd like an Obi fans shirt of your very own, head on over to circleofnerds.com/merch as we approach the pimpage section of our show. Oh no, we skipped homework. Next week, watch episodes 21 or 20 through 22. Episodes 20, 21, and 22. And that is going to finish off season 2 of Das Clone Wars. And remember again, even if you find an episode that feels like filler, see if you can find some Palpatine influence in there. How could Palpatine have been responsible for those episodes? So just kind of think about that. Also, listen to past episodes of our show if you haven't done that yet. And depending on your thoughts and feelings about our show, make sure that you share it with your friends and or your enemies. If you don't like some of the people from the Fandom Menace, people with those negative Star Wars theories, by all means, share our show with them, especially like the first 10 minutes of this week. That way they can know exactly where we stand, because this is your Star Wars safe space. And whether you are a cisgender white nerd sitting in your basement painting miniatures, or
not painting shit,
I know, or if you are a transgender clone trooper, you're welcome here. You're safe here. So there you go. So do the merch thing. Head on over to circlenerds.com/merch. Pick up some cool stuff. And of course, you can follow us on all the social media at the SWS show. Make sure you do like and subscribe and all of that's super duper fun stuff. So does anybody have anything else before we lock it down?
No. Looking forward to finishing off the season. And
yeah, because we've got one more episode left. And then we'll be on a 2-week hiatus. And then we're going to be coming back from Daddy Louie's Nerd Lair. Super excited for that. I think that's when all of the hard work for Star Wars Safe Space is going to pay off, because that's when things are really going to start fucking kicking for us. It's going to be fun. All in the same room at the same time. Woo! I can't wait. All right. So thanks for everybody joining us. We really appreciate you. We love you. We know that you could be spending your time anywhere else, and you chose to spend it with us, and we really, really, really do appreciate that. So thank you. We will see you all next week. And as always, please do remember, if no one does anything nice for you, please do something nice to yourself. And we're going to see you all next week. Bye.